Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brush and Bone podcast, the podcast where we discuss all things art in nerd culture. I am your host, Vase Odin, and my co-host,
Gio.
And today we have a very special guest. Actually, cover your necks because our guest today is actual Dracula. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing awesome,
Yeah,
man.
and Vase mentioned actually to me earlier that we have to issue a formal invitation for him to be able to get on. Otherwise, he just can't get on.
Yeah,
Those are the rules. Yeah.
Those are the rules. Yeah, you got to invite the vampires. So, how's it going, man? We are very happy to have you on. I'm a huge fan of comic book art, and I'm also a huge fan of horror. And Gio loves comic books as well. And so, I understand that you are a comic artist, but also do quite a bit of horror. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a bit all over the place. Yeah, I do a lot of the superhero stuff, but have been starting to do more horror stuff, centric stuff as well. Yeah. And of course, with the name Actual Dracula, I think a lot of people assume that like horror is my absolute favorite genre. It's one of my favorites, although I wouldn't necessarily say it's like, you know, the be all end all for me. I mean, I'm just as much into sci-fi as I am into horror. So.
Very cool. All right, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're known for, how you got to this point?
Yeah, and did you go to art school or you self-taught, that kind of stuff?
Right. Well, first of all, yeah, I go by Actual Dracula, but my real name is Adrian. In terms of my art background, I've, like a lot of artists, I've been kind of just doing it my whole life. So it's really kind of hard to pinpoint, what got me into art because I've just kind of always been doing it. I did go to art school. So actually my, the high school I went to, was an art school. It was like a regular art school, regular high school rather, but it did have a specialized art program. There was a visual arts program. There was also there's a big music theater school as well. But if you were in the visual arts program, you had 2 art classes a day, and
Cool.
it was all different mediums. So that was really really an excellent experience because you get to try all these different things you may not have otherwise. Yeah, after high school, I did go to an art school after. But only for the first year. I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to take after that. So because when I was a kid, I really just wanted to be, I thought I was going to be a comic book artist. That's what I really wanted.
I think we all did.
All of us, man. That was the dream for sure.
Yeah. What era did you grow up in? Were you like a kid in the 90s?
I was a kid in the 80s. So
In the 80s, yeah. Okay, so
yeah. So I'd already been reading into like comic art for many years by the time the Image guys came along. So Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, those guys were huge influences on me because I was like 12 years old when those guys were starting Image. So yeah, and I thought that's what I wanted to do until I mean, 2 things happened. One was being in an art school where you got to experience all these different sort of mediums and different techniques that kind of expanded I guess what I wanted to do with my art. And that combined with the fact that I guess in high school I didn't lose interest in comic books, but I guess I just wasn't into them as much as I used to be. And I had also started discovering more underground and indie comics, and I realized like, oh, you don't have to, draw, big muscle band superheroes to make comics. They can be about whatever you want. They can be anything, literally. So the idea of like grinding it out at Marvel was something I had kind of lost interest in.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that comic books, I usually mention when I talk about comic book artists, and I usually describe it as more of a 9 to 5 kind of art career, whereas a fine art painter, for example, might do one painting a week or a month. You know, your comic book artists have to churn out page after page. I mean, you're working all the time drawing.
It is a grind. I mean, especially if you want to do work on like a monthly book. I mean, things are maybe a little different now, but when it comes to books like that, say you want to draw Batman, nothing there has really changed. It is, yeah, it's a full-time gig, and it's one where you got to be, you not only have to be good, you got to be fast. So,
And you have to expect others to finish your work, right? From what I hear, yeah.
be good at drawing everything. And I, to this day, I still don't particularly like drawing buildings or cars. I mean,
I don't think anybody really does, to be honest. That is, I when I got back into comics, you know, just before the pandemic, he draws for Coffin Comics now, and that's how he got into the comic industry, because he said, you know what, nobody likes doing backgrounds, so let me learn to draw backgrounds and I'll get my foot in the door. And that's how he got in. He got real good and real fast at drawing, you know, forests and the lake scene, and going through the river with the woods around you and the buildings in the city and all that stuff. And that's how he got in very quickly too, because no artist really likes to do all that.
and that absolutely applies. That applies to if you want to get into a lot of other industries, whether it be, you know, animation or concept art. You got to learn those fundamentals.
Boring as it might be, sometimes it's like art that
Joel Gomez, it just came back to me.
it's somewhat uninspiring sometimes, because especially if it's something you don't like to do, you're kind of forcing yourself to do art that you're not really inspired by. And you know, as artists, I think we tend to put more effort into doing pieces that we really care about. So I guess you have to not just put in the work, but also learn to like it, which is not an easy feat.
The thing, so when I was younger, by the time I had finished high school and went to my first year of art school, I guess I was kind of a little burned out by all of it, and just not really sure what direction I wanted to take things. So, you know, I spent a lot of years just kind of, I was still making art, but it didn't have any purpose whatsoever. It was just, you know, drawing in sketchbooks every day, and you know, I'd have grand ideas about things I'd want to do with them, but you know, I didn't really dedicate myself to that. Yeah, there was many years there where I'd still draw and still make art, but I really wasn't focusing on it with any sort of serious, didn't really have any direction or discipline. It was just kind of just drawing just because I felt like it. And I still do that, of course, but I spent a good, you know, 10, almost 15 years like that, up until I'd say a few years ago, when I really decided to start taking things more seriously, and getting back into comic books was a big part of that.
It is. A lot of people don't see that's probably one of the main things about comics, that it really gets people into the art world, interested in art and interested in doing their own art, drawing, and makes you, I guess, less reluctant to share your art with other people, especially once you join an art community or a comic book community, and people are very receptive and really willing to see your art. Because, man, I remember when the first time I wanted to share my art with somebody, it was like, oh man, I used to share it just with Vase, and then it took me a while to even share it with my wife. Like, oh look, I drew this, and because you're just worried about what they'll think, what the criticism is, it good enough. But I think joining a good community is really, really important. So you started sharing your art. You met people in the community, and you started getting very, very popular. And do you sell your art now?
Yeah, so just to kind of circle back a bit there, getting back into comic books reignited things for me in terms of taking my art seriously. But a big part of that, yeah, was just meeting other people in the community and other artists. Just everyone kind of being very supportive of each other, and seeing that, you know, I would, you know, occasionally put things out there, you know, just on Instagram, whatever, and getting positive feedback. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to keep doing this. It's really been amazing, and it's definitely I would still be I would still be doing it regardless, but it's allowed me to sell a few things here or there, which is great. At this point, I've only done it's almost like starting all over again in a way. But just in the past couple of years, I've tabled at a few small conventions, and that's been really great. So look forward to doing a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that you had done that horror convention in Toronto recently, and a lot of these big cities they do have places where you have an opportunity to sell your art locally.
Especially conventions. I mean,
Yeah.
you're looking like, not just events like local events like what you do, Geo, which is like going to like art shows and things like that. But there are conventions that are very art centric that you wouldn't expect. Like here in Portland, there's the Lovecraft Film Festival, and they're actually a really big supporter of local art and local artists. Every year they do the Pikmin's Challenge, which Pikmin was a story from H.P. Lovecraft where he was an artist and he would do these crazy, weird paintings. His subjects were always deformed, like creatures, and people always wondered where he was getting his inspiration from. And so the protagonist of the story goes to meet with Pikmin, and when he goes to the basement, he sees who the muse was, and it was a ghoul, like an actual creature. So that's how Pikmin was actually getting his inspiration. But Pikmin's challenge is in the Lovecraft Film Festival, and it's basically they bring in a lot of local artists. It benefits charity, and it gets a lot of names out there for local artists. And don't get me wrong, it's not the only one. There's a bunch of conventions that you just wouldn't think, but if you just dig in, there's plenty of places for artists to get some exposure, and people are very receptive. Like the Pikmin's Challenge and HP Lovecraft Film Festival is like one of the most popular events they do every year.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised at places where you can do where you can set up and sell your art. You know, it's uh,
Oh, and that Pikmin story is one of my favorite Lovecraft stories.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
So creepy.
yeah.
But yeah, I've recently just did a show. It was like a small kind of horror themed show that took place in an honest to goodness video store, So
That's fun.
that's right. But it was really great.
That's cool.
Show. Yeah.
Yeah, when I visited Vesa in Portland, there's a place called Movie Madness up there, and it's crazy. They have memorabilia.
They claim they have more videos.
Thousands, tens of thousands of DVDs.
Yeah, they have more videos and DVDs than Netflix has on streaming.
Which is crazy.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
And they have a little
And
mini
they
theater
have-
there too.
Yeah. They have costumes and stuff from actual movies, and it was really fun to see that place. And yeah, that's really neat. What do you know the name of the place in Toronto of the movie?
Movie place for
It's called Eyesore Cinema, and the show is called Terroronto. And there's going to be more. There's definitely more Terroronto shows coming up because he does more than one a year. I think at this point he's done. I think he did 2 this year and 2 last year.
Very cool. Yeah, now towards the end of the year, people are in the mood for horror because of Halloween and stuff, and so yeah, that works out. Pretty cool. So, I know you mentioned you don't just do horror, even though you go by actual Dracula online, and but I did crawl in your Instagram and see several horror pieces. I know you'd made some specifically for Terroronto. What kind of horror movies would you say have mostly influenced your art? Do you like gory horror? Do you like body horror? Do you like more
Cosmic horror.
like mystery, cosmic horror, 70s type movies, Satanist?
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of the horror stuff I like well, we were just talking about Lovecraft, so of course, yeah, I'm a big fan of Lovecraft and cosmic horror stuff. But when it comes to like the horror movies that I like to watch, I've always been drawn more to the supernatural and psychological horror stuff more than say straight up gore. Of course, early on, some of my school books that I still have from when I was very young. I'm talking like grade 4, grade 5. Some of the first characters I really became interested in drawing were Freddy Krueger and Jason. And the thing is, I hadn't even seen those movies yet. I had just seen pictures of these guys in magazines and like maybe seen like a trailer on TV, but I was just like so uh just the way they looked, it had such an impact on me. And like, and you know, friends in school that had seen the movies, like describing them, I was like, oh man, these guys sound amazing. So I would draw these like stories, these mini comics of Freddy versus Jason, and
Everybody's dream, and then they finally made the movie.
yeah, and then yeah, so you could probably imagine how disappointed I was when I actually saw that movie. It took them way too long to make it.
Yeah, not good.
Of course, I always loved the Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th movies. And you know, some gore. I like gore when it's really over the top or really, you know, something like the Terrifier movies. I like.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I love the Terrifier movies, or Hellraiser. Those are like overly gory too, and there's just something about Hellraiser,
yeah,
very evocative.
yeah.
Like there's a vision of hell that is so unique in those Hellraiser movies. You know that before that, I don't think anyone ever would picture hell looking like that. You know, it's so cool. I just love the Hellraiser movies.
Yeah, and like in terms of like stuff I like to draw, it's not, you know, maybe not so much gore. Although the comic book I'm working on right now, there is quite a bit of that. And so you know, I dabble in that for sure. But when it comes to horror, yeah, the big things for me have always been supernatural, like you said, satanic. I mean, my favorite horror movies of all time are The Shining and The Exorcist. Hereditary, it's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. I love old. My favorite kind of movies, horror movies, are the old '70s horror movies. There's
Like the Hammer films, or
no, like oh, what was it called? Oh, jeez. Of course, I have to draw a blank, right? The what was that movie based about the house that was haunted, and then
Burnt Offerings. Burnt Offerings. Yeah, that's a great movie. That's very much it's very much The Shining, but it's slightly different. But there's something about that movie that there's elements of that one that I like more than The Shining. Like there's very subtle little things that happen in the film that you just notice, like by the end you notice because it's so extreme. Like for example, the aunt starts to get older as the house is just draining her life force, and you don't really notice it at first. She starts having like all these issues, like she'll break her hip, and she's not really that old when she first gets into the house, but by the end of the movie she looks like a crone, and you're like, wait, what happened to her? It's really cool, just those little subtle things that they do in that movie. Have you ever seen Burnt Offering?
No, I mean that's one I'm kind of I've heard of it, but I've still, you know, I haven't watched it. That's one.
yeah,
If you like The Shining, you'll like Burnt Offering.
yeah, it builds up really well. It's great. I guess I love those kind of haunted house movies. Haunted houses.
Haunted House is cool. I like those.
Some of them can be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite horror things was Mike Flanagan's Haunting of Hill House.
Another good one. Yeah, that one's good. Yeah.
And of course he did also one of my favorite modern horror films, which was Oculus. I thought Oculus was
Bro, Oculus was so cool, man. That's
I don't think I've seen that.
I would say underrated, but it's not underrated because it got really. I mean, it's got a cult following. I guess is the proper way to describe the reception that it got, because it's not very famous, but when it came out, it was rave reviews all over the place. It's about a mirror, and this brother and sister find this. It's like this antique mirror, and it has these like supernatural elements. So it's really cool. I don't want to give too much away, but that redhead who's in where's she in? She's in a big show. I can't remember what show she's in, but anyways, she's somewhat famous.
She's yeah. Her name's escaping me. She played Nebula in the Avengers movie.
Nebula, yes, she's the
Yeah.
Scottish or Irish girl. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
yeah. So she's in it. She was much younger. Karen Gillan. Yes.
Yes, Karen Gillan.
But yeah, Oculus is great. Yeah, that's another good one. You mentioned Hereditary. That's one of my favorite recent horror movies. As far as like horror that legitimately scared the living daylights out of me, Hereditary is like top right now. It's so good.
Of the recent movies, yeah.
I also loved, of course, came out around the same time. Not that it was particularly scary, but just the atmosphere that that was created in The Witch.
Oh, I loved the setup of The Witch. The execution wasn't 100% there, but it was almost there.
It was for me. I think there, the atmosphere, like you said, was really good. I think it's misunderstood because the end is almost kind of ends like almost like a fable or like it takes some of the horror elements and turns it more into like a classic Brothers Grimm type witch story. And maybe that's what you didn't like about it, Gio. I don't know, so I think it was misunderstood. I think that was fully intentional by the director.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love The Witch. I think The Witch is definitely highly rated by a lot of people. It's another one that's super, super good. Yeah, some really good horror movies. You like
what you guys thought of if you saw Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch, his Nosferatu.
Yeah.
See that?
I have yet to see it. They saw it, and actually they were selling a cologne, a Nosferatu cologne that's supposed to smell like a crypt or something.
It smells like wet, like water. It's really cool. It smells good.
Yeah.
Do you have the bottle, Gio? I can go get it and show it, or I'll show it on the screen.
I'll go get it. Yeah.
It's really good. But
roll around in some wet leaves.
Yep, that's what it smells like, moss and like water. It's really interesting and unique. Yeah. But yeah, Robert Eggers is a great director. There's a few misses, but I think Nosferatu overall was great. The atmosphere was there. I feel like the acting was fantastic. I really liked Nosferatu, the original one that was directed by what's that German guy? Damn it, man! All the names are escaping me today. Anyways, the original Nosferatu from the 70s is really cool.
F.W. Murnau.
No. Damn, what's that guy, man?
No.
Oh yeah. No, he's a documentary filmmaker now, right? Was that him?
He's done some documentaries. He did a mockumentary of like the Loch Ness Monster, which was really funny. He's German. He's known to like throw violent outbursts in the middle of his productions. He was there
with the Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog. So Werner Herzog did Nosferatu in the 70s in German, and it was super good. I really enjoyed it in a different way. But I think I really did like the Eggers version. I think it was very well done. It was true vampire horror, and that's very rare these days. These days, vampires are more romanticized than turn into a straight up horror movie. So I'm glad he did it in that way.
I liked it. I would say it was a little long. It felt a little. I just watched it again recently, and it did feel like it dragged on a little bit. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good adaptation.
It's funny. I haven't watched it, but I drew the character a few months ago.
I remember.
I drew the character because, it was in my sketchbook. It's just a pencil sketch. But shifting over back to art, because I know we could talk about movies all night. But it is an art podcast. How do you pick a subject? Like what inspires you to draw?
I guess depends. On what I'm doing it for. Like for example, something I started last year was I decided I'm just going to do a series of portraits of just a whole bunch of different superheroes. I made like a list of 100 comic book
Oh,
characters I wanted to draw,
wow.
and I'm only like maybe 5 or 6 through that list because I moved on to other things. But it's something I'll get back to. But there, for example, is like, okay, who are just some characters that I think either I really like or look cool that I want to draw. So that's a fairly simple, basic thing. And then uh, outside of that, a lot of times the way I work, it's pretty sporadic, pretty spur of the moment. A lot of my pieces have come out of just completely random sketches that I'm not really, where I don't really have much in mind. I kind of, um, I'll spend, it used to all be in my sketchbooks, but I do work digitally as well as traditionally. So I spend a lot of time using Procreate, and one of the, I guess, benefits of that is, well, first of all, just
The undo button. That one's a big benefit.
the undo.
Oh my God.
And layers.
I'll open up. Yeah, the thing is like if you go through my Procreate, is I'll open up a new document, a new page, and then there'll just be like 30 layers of different sketches, and then I might I'll just like pick and choose from what I like, and then I might kind of expand on that thing, and that might end up becoming a finished piece. And it might just be digital painting, or it might be something that I then print out and draw, physically. And so how I choose a subject, it's really it's kind of really hard to pin down because unless it's something specifically I have in mind, like for the comic book stuff, that's usually something where I more have in mind. Like if I have a blank sketch cover that's Batman, I'm probably gonna draw Batman on it. But like a lot of my other stuff, like some of the horror drawings I did recently, those were just they're not based on anything other than random sketches.
Yeah, it's tough, just like doodling and then seeing what you've doodled. But it's one of the coolest things to do. It's like,
To
Where
just
does it take you?
not go in with a purpose and
Yeah,
just
where's this gonna go? You know, the
see
mystery
where
of
your
it.
hand takes you. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You mentioned earlier. You mentioned boredom, so I kind of wanted to kind of circle back to that because not boredom, sorry, burnout. I wanted to circle back to that because I'm very curious how different people handle that. Like I myself have moments where I'll have to go a week without drawing anything. You know, I'm newer to the art field than you guys. Gio's been drawing for a while. You've been drawing for a long time. I'm self-taught, but I mostly do like charcoal on digital, which is a very specific style, and I really really like it. But man, there are times where like I'll push through like 20 pieces in a week, and then I'll be like, that's it. 2 weeks of nothing, not even looking at my tablet. You know. So how do you handle burnout?
I wish I had a great answer for that. I'm trying to figure that out myself. Yeah. I mean, well, for me, I mean, feeling burnt out on creating art, um, I'd say I'm fortunate in that the point I'm at right now, I don't get burnt out by that, and that's primarily because it's what I kind of look forward to doing at the end of the day. Because it's not what I'm not a full-time artist. I have a day job. Um, I'm a full-time cabinet maker, so it's I'm burnt out at my day job all the time. But when it comes to the art, I'm still the thing I have to fight isn't really so much creative burnout or anything like that, other than it is so much just like I'm physically tired, physically and mentally tired from my day job. But so then I kind of have to fight through that. But uh, that's and okay, I will say this is that if there's something specific I'm supposed to be working on, whether it's like a commission, and I may be at a point where maybe it's the end of the day, I'm really tired, and in cases like that, I may not feel like working on that piece, and that's okay because I that's when I kind of go to like just um uh, just sketch whatever, just make anything. Um, and sometimes you don't have to do that at all. Sometimes I just watch TV, but I do find myself wanting to draw, even if it's not this specific thing. It's like I just find myself just sketching most days, anyhow.
I agree.
And I think
For me,
that can help.
drawing
I
is
think that can
the
help if you're
escape.
feeling burned out.
Yeah.
That or even like maybe just it doesn't hurt to just rest. Everyone needs to rest at some point. So and that can help. And I find that if I do go like a few days without really drawing anything, that gets me kind of really, I start thinking about things I want to do, and that gets me feeling a bit more invigorated about it.
Well, so you do comic books. Do you do your own independent comics, or are you contracted out by comic book companies?
No, so my my history with comics is all uh up to this point self-publishing. Um, when I started fairly young. When I was 12, 13, I was making zines with my brother and my mom, actually. And that's a whole other story. But so I've been self-publishing for a long time. Started it with zines with some very crude comics, and then then I kind of thought, oh, I want to be a comic book artist and doing real comics, and then that fell by the wayside. Um, but ever since I got back into actually wanting to uh, make comics, falling kind of back in love with the medium of making them, um, I've been fortunate to kind of become part of this collective. And so the comic work that I've been doing for the past 2 years roughly, any published work I've done has been with KFAM Comics Group, which is a collective of artists and cartoonists that are we collaborate on and self-publish uh, a whole bunch of different books now. At this point, it's been really an incredible experience.
And you have them printed, or do you do them digitally, or webtoons, or what?
They're printed. I mean, so how we do things is, you know, uh, if say it's a collaboration, what we'll do is uh, we, we all work on this thing together, put it together, and then once it's done, we kind of have access to be able to print this thing whenever we want. So everyone that's in the group uh, can get the book printed basically whenever they want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Have you guys ever considered doing like a crowdfunding, Kickstarter, things like that?
I mean, some members in the group have done Kickstarters for their own projects, but at this point, our collaborations, I don't think that's something we ever really talked about. That may happen somewhere down the line. Um, and But yeah, for the most part, it's all kind of very much uh we're all independent cartoonists, and um so this is something that it's allowed a lot of, for a lot of us, it's our first time really making any comics. This is
Yeah.
uh so it's a really amazing opportunity to like have something you can actually give to people or sell to people.
That is a reward in itself, is having that. I mean, nothing can describe that.
100%. I agree with you. Gio and I have been publishing our own stuff, like self-published for a bit, and man, it really is one hell of a feeling when you get that in your hands and you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I made this entire thing. It's so cool. Do you do all your own inking as well? So you do like the art, the line art, the sketches, the line art, and the inking and all that? I'm assuming it's digital.
Yeah, so for a couple of the KFAM books I did, those were my submissions to those were digital. Although one of the last one was traditionally inked. And so yeah, I'm at this point I'm pretty comfortable doing either. But the comic book that I'm working on right now, I am going to how I work there is I do all the sketches, layouts, and stuff like that. I do digitally. Then I print out kind of loose digital pencils, and then those will be inked on paper.
Well, the reason I asked about inking, just the other day I was like reading about Kirby and how he, a lot of his art is seen as kind of basic, because you look back into the evolution of art in comics, and Jack Kirby's art, there's a lot of nostalgia for it, but you can't compare it to a degree to like modern art. But at the same time, he gets a kind of the rough end of the stick because apparently his inker, what was his name? Vince, is it Coletta or something like that? Vince Coletta, yeah. He apparently ruined a lot of his art. And so the reason I asked you about inking is if you did your own inks, because is that a concern? Like you put so much detail sometimes into these pieces in comic book art. I'm not a comic book artist, so I don't know. I don't deal with it. So I'm just kind of just out of my own curiosity. When you hand it to someone else to handle the inks and you're putting full trust in that they will honor what your vision was specifically with relation to details and such, do you ever feel like, well, this could get ruined by someone?
I could see how that might be a concern, sure. I mean, I've never really thought about getting my stuff inked by somebody else because that's kind of that's the process I really enjoy the most at this point, and the one I'm trying to improve on the most is inking. So yeah, I mean, in the past I thought, oh, I want to be a penciler, that's where it's at. But now kind of my mindset is like, the things that I want to do in this medium is really as a cartoonist, as a one-man band, writing, inking, coloring, all of it, essentially, which is obviously a lot of work, but in terms of like, if I have a specific vision in mind, yes, collaborating with other people is great, but there are if there's certain projects that I have in mind that really just partly because it might be difficult to kind of describe to someone else. That's part of it. The other part is just as a challenge to myself and wanting to just kind of improve and grow as an artist is can I do this whole thing by myself? Just because I just want to, essentially. Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you a better artist.
I'm not opposed to, say, drawing something and having somebody else ink it. That maybe that's something that I do somewhere down the line. But at this point, it's like how I work now is very rough pencils, and then I ink that myself. Especially working digitally a lot, if I'm doing something digital, it's basically the same thing as inking.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Just another layer.
What Vase brought up about Kirby is really kind of it's an issue with creators where you have to learn to let go of your creation, of your baby. You know, a lot of creators will see what, you know, a piece of art they make or a sculpture or whatever, as their baby, and it's hard sometimes. You like a piece that you've made, yeah. And then there's two ways of letting go. One, if you've created a finished piece, having to sell it and never have it in your hands again, and now it belongs to somebody else. And then there's a collaboration where somebody can take what you've created and change it in some way, and now it's no longer just yours, it's been changed. So are there any works that you've created that you want to keep for yourself, that you would never sell, would never let go? Or have you reached a point where, you know what, it's money, it's art, it belongs in somebody else's hands, the world has to see it, let's just sell it off?
There's nothing really I've made at this point that I've been so attached to. I guess, there's been quite a few things I've made that I really liked that I either ended up giving to, like say family members, or there was a couple pieces I was really proud of that I donated to charity auctions. And then, the stuff that I maybe do try and sell at cons. There's nothing. There may be things that I'd be like, oh, that'd be cool to keep, but there's nothing that I've been super attached to. Maybe I will make a piece. Maybe I will make a piece like that eventually, but no, I can't really think of anything that that I really feel like, oh, I need to hold on to this.
I think a big factor for that, for
the next thing.
Yeah, a big factor for being more willing to let go, I guess, is the fact that now you have technology that allows you to take a picture of all good pictures for free of all your work, and you have a permanent record of it. You can always go back and see pictures of everything you've created now, and you can post it on social media and things like that. But then that raises other questions, right? Because now, like even making digital art, a lot of digital artists now have the big concerns of theft, people using their art without their permission. Of course, there's the AI issues. So it opens the door to that. So what are your thoughts on, you do digital art, what are your thoughts on kind of this whole new threat to artists?
Yeah. So, the short answer is, when it comes to AI art, I at this point I don't think about it so much anymore. Now, as an artist, it is a concern, but I guess the fact is it's not really going anywhere. That the cat's out of the bag already, and it's people are and not just, obviously not just for art, but just AI in general. It's like, yeah, you're not getting the toothpaste back in the tube. It's here. So kind of have to, this is something that it's just a new technology that, love it or hate it, it's get used to it. And when it comes to the art side of it, I don't, I'm not, I personally have no real interest in using AI to enhance my art or make art or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't really, I'm not gonna, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to chastise someone if that's what they want to do, like I said, because it's here and it exists. It's like people are going to use it. So I'm not going to say you're like a bad person for doing that. It's just like, it's not my thing. And generally speaking, when it comes to individual expression and doing, I'm like, I'm all for people doing whatever they want, provided it doesn't hurt anyone. And when it comes to the AI subject, it's like, can this potentially hurt or threaten the careers of artists? I mean, potentially. And when it comes to, say, the scraping the internet and stealing imagery from other artists, as an artist, is that a concern? I suppose so. Maybe not so much for me as it should be, but the fact is that human beings, can do that just as well, and have and do.
You're in common company there with that statement, by the way. we had a big discussion about AI art.
There's nothing stopping me from stealing somebody's art, so
Facts.
And with the AI thing, it's like, well, it's more an amalgamation of everyone's stuff anyway, so
it's not an exact copy of one.
I'm more likely to be straight ripped off by another human than I am
by Greg Land versus AI.
Yeah. So that the whole it's stealing art thing is, I don't know, that doesn't really worry me as much. The one thing I don't really care for, and as we've seen kind of in recent weeks, the thing that I did like is people at conventions found to have been selling selling AI artwork. I don't really agree with them tabling at conventions, because you're potentially taking away space from actual artists, human artists who are trying to make a career and a living out of this. Especially at conventions, big conventions where there's long waiting lists. It's like, that's not cool, because look, if your thing is you want to make AR art, you want to set up a website and sell your AR art, do that. Do that all you want. I don't mind. That's your thing. If people want to buy it, so be it. But having if you're taking away physical space from where an artist could be selling things, I'm not cool with that.
Those are some really, really good points, and I agree with everything you said there. We did have our episode on AIR, and we got real deep into that, and we weighed the pros and cons and all the points. And right now there's really two sides to AI, which they're both extreme. You have the proponents who fight for AI. It's art just like any other art, and then there's the ones that have the knee jerk, no, it's AI slop, and then they completely bash anyone who even says a word with the letters A and I in it. And,
or just assumptions that people make. There's assumptions too.
Assumptions, yeah, exactly.
At this point, I see it every day now. Just even going through Instagram, and that's the thing. It's like it's so, in terms of like what I want to do as an artist, like the reason I make art, that has nothing to do with me, because I'm just not interested. I just don't think of it. It's not preventing me from doing what I'm doing. Then you can get into the other side of it. Is it preventing somebody from buying art from me? I don't know that they can make that argument either. There's potential. Yes, potentially there are potential, I guess, jobs that maybe an artist didn't get because of AI art. That's a very real thing.
Sure.
But that goes for AI in general in every industry.
In almost every industry. Including Uber and Lyft. Like, they're losing their jobs because of AI having self-driving vehicles. Right. So that's like the new thing, right? But I agree with you 100%. Those jobs that are being taken away, I mean, how many artists that you meet or that you see on Instagram or meet in your communities are looking to get a corporate job? I don't think any of them are. It's not inspiring to them as an artist. I mean, maybe a few. Yeah, and those are the jobs that are being taken away by AI art, because I'm from the tabletop role-playing game business side of things, so I'm more in on that. And I'll tell you what, there are people that maybe here and there would have commissioned an artist and pay $150, $200 for a portrait of a character, but very, very few people did that. Okay, and those people the people that weren't willing to pay that money are now making their character portraits using AI, and AI artists are getting upset, or artists, sorry, not AI artists. Artists are getting upset about that. Oh, they're taking jobs. Let me tell you, these RPG players are not going to pay you $150 to $300 for a portrait. They're not. A lot of them, they just want to make a character, play their 5 sessions, 10 sessions, and then next campaign they'll do it again. Or their character dies and now they got to make another one. They're not going to pay you every single time they got to make a character. A corporation will pay you for their books, to do art for their books, and there's a lot of that. But overall, and for some artists, it's not inspiring work. Like when you get hired by by a company to do art, for a toothpaste cartoon. Most artists are like, sure, I'll take the money, but whatever, I'm just going to put minimal effort, I mean,
Your heart's not in it.
Your heart's not in it, so the jobs that it's taken away is mostly from companies that are making like renderings using AI of their product in a room or whatever, so I totally agree with you on that. Like the actual artist that's a passionate creative, they weren't going to take that kind of a job to begin with. So and no one's asking AI to make the next Last Supper or something.
Yeah, I'll tell you that as a traditional artist myself, I mainly do traditional art. I do some digital, but not a lot. And I know that you do traditional art. In the traditional art world, in the fine art world, and in the traditional art world, nobody's worried about AI at all because AI can't do a physical painting with oils or acrylics or whatever, or watercolors. It's all the digital artists are the ones who are worried about those jobs, and and digital art itself is a new medium anyway too. So you just, I guess, got to roll with it. If you're gonna be in that space, you're gonna have to evolve because, like you said, the paint's out of the tube. Now you just may as well use it and paint with it because it ain't going anywhere. So
that's it. And I mean, making a living as an artist has never been easy, ever in human history. And so it's no different. It's just you kind of got to adapt to every new change, and if you're viewing other artists as your competition, that's for me, that's not really the right way to go about things. I think if you're, and I think the fact is most artists just do it because they have to, this is something,
Yep.
It's like comic books. It's like, if you're getting into comic books to make money, at this point, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
100%.
Most people do it because they this is just, it's their passion. It's what they want to do. And regardless of what else is going on outside of this bubble that you create for yourself as an artist. So AI is just another external thing that really is it's not directly affecting what I'm putting on the paper or on my iPad or whatever it is. So
one point that I made during our
at this point, I don't really think about it too much.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
I have other things to worry about.
Yeah, and one point that I made during our AI art episode was the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, and maybe it excuses it, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. People are going to hate me for saying this to begin with, but 20 years ago, there were artists, and it was only traditional media, right? So you had your portrait artists, you had your oils, you had comic book artists, and they all had to use physical media, and there were very few because almost everyone knew it was really tough to make it in the business, right? You had to really work hard at it. And nowadays, with the expansion of Photoshop and Procreate and Infinite Painter and all these digital avenues to express yourself through art on your tablet, it's turned the casual artist into thinking that they could just do it professionally, and they don't realize how difficult it was to begin with. And now it's saturated the market. It's not just AI. The amount of artists that exist these days, because digital is a thing, and those people who have never, like myself, I've never put pen to paper ever. It's always digital, right? So I'm one of those people, and as an aspiring artist, let's say, there are far more people, and like I know you said they're not competition, but there's a lot more people in the market. There's a lot more, and AI is taking the jobs away from those same people. So the same people that have saturated the market are the ones at risk of losing potential future work. But the traditional artists who were struggling from the very beginning, 25 years ago when digital didn't exist, they're in the same boat they were before. AI is not taking their jobs. You know.
That's true. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a really, really informative and fun conversation. How do people get in touch with you? What kind of projects you have going on that people can find your work in, etc.?
Yeah, so you can find me as actual Dracula on Instagram and on YouTube. And yeah, I usually will post my stuff on Instagram. I have the project I'm currently working on is this is really my kind of first full-length comic that I've done a lot of mini comics before or contributed to other projects, collaborations. But this is really my first time doing a just full-on comic start to finish. 30 plus page comic. It's called Murder King. Two friends of mine wrote it, and they came to me, basically said, "Do you want to draw this thing?" I said yes.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that's what I'm working on right now. And that is something that so if you go to we do have the pre-launch page on Kickstarter for Murder King. So if you Google that, you should be able to find it. And then that will be that campaign will launch, I guess once I've drawn some more of this thing. we're aiming for January, February for to start launching that campaign. So yeah, I'm excited. That's been a real learning process for me. But I'm excited with the direction it's headed. And this is also it's not the first time I've drawn something somebody else has written, but of this, like, of a full story like this, it is. So yeah, it's
Very exciting. Yeah, that's really cool.
it's been really great. I'm really excited for this comic. I think everyone's gonna like it.
Yeah, and hopefully you get a lot of success and a lot of people buy it and read it. So, Murder King on Kickstarter.
We'll post the links in the show notes.
Go on Kickstarter, type Murder. Yeah, we'll post the links in the show notes. We'll post the links to your Instagram. Now, we also here on Brush and Bone, we like to kind of pay it forward and share somebody that we like to tell people about an artist that they may not be aware of. It could be somebody famous that has inspired you. It could be somebody who's not so famous that may need a few more followers that you think deserves more attention for their work. So, do you have anybody in mind that you would like to recommend people check out?
I mean, there's a lot of names I could put out there. Everyone that's in the KFAM comics group, that's, I'll be here all night if I do that. I will say, one artist that has really kind of just consistently blown me away, and he was kind of a recent discovery for me. The Chinese artist named hold on, I gotta look him up, see if I got the name right. Yeah, Yang Jialun, who goes by Dirty Iron 18 on Instagram. He's his stuff's just incredible. And that's the kind of stuff that's really been inspiring me lately. He does a lot of very there's a lot of sort of like sci-fi, a lot of landscapes, usually in ink and ink wash. Those will occasionally put some color in there, but his work just reminds me of a lot of my favorite artists, almost like a mix of like Mobius and H.R. Giger. Just very
Huh.
really interesting kind of sci-fi style stuff you might see in like Heavy Metal Magazine, but
HR was my choice last episode, by the way. HR Geiger.
his own.
Yeah, he's so unique, man. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
This is really cool stuff. Wow, it's like out there. I love it. It's so
his work's
different.
incredible. I think that everyone needs to see his stuff because it's just, it blows my mind, his work. Such an amazing artist.
Yeah, amazing. Wow, that's really great.
My choice this week is Jay Lee. Jay Lee is actually a little bit more famous. So Jay Lee does a lot of covers for different comic books. I'm currently reading Red Sonja, Volume 3, Children's Crusade. The cover is amazing by Jay Lee. There's something really interesting about him. Gio always talks about artists that are so unique in their style. Like, they have such a vision that you can immediately tell when a piece of work is theirs. And even imitators really generally aren't able to successfully imitate such artists' work. H.R. Giger, I don't know the actual way to pronounce it, is one of those artists. Like, people try to maybe replicate, but you really can't, And that's what makes these artists just so special. And I think Jay Lee is one of those. I mean, there's something interesting about the way he does. A lot of comic book artists aren't given the credit that they deserve sometimes. I think comic art is very, very underrated in the art community as a whole. Jay Lee is really cool. He does a lot of detail. Like in this piece in particular, she's sitting on this kind of snake throne, and this snake throne is very highly detailed. But the subject herself, there's... he does this quite a bit where the subjects are very, very minimal in terms of any kind of shading or cross-hatching and things like that. And so when you do the inks on his pieces, they're very smooth and just a lot of open spaces. He lets it breathe. He lets the color breathe and the transitions breathe. And yet somehow it works. And it's not quite anime style and it's not quite comic book style. It's something different. And that's what I really like about Jay Lee. Who's your pick this week, Jim?
To come out like really kind of lanky, but it's so unique. And he usually doesn't color his work. He usually works with June Chung or Jane Chung, one of those, and she colors it for him. He does the sketch and I believe the inks. But yeah, he is definitely one of my favorite comic book artists. Hands down. The artist I chose today is not a comic book artist, and he is not really mainstream. I found him on Instagram. He just popped up on my feed, and his work blew me away. It's really cool. It's very unique. His name is Rostislav Sarenko. He's a Ukrainian artist. He's on Instagram at Rostislav, Rostislaw _TS. And Rostislav Sarenko's style is, it looks like etchings. So if you've seen like old books, old Bibles, the drawings in those are like etchings, a lot of little lines. That's what he does. He does it with an ink pen or a liner.
Jesus Christ, I'm looking at it. Holy cow, that must take a long time.
He meticulously draws every little line, and they're all perfectly parallel. It's crazy.
Damn.
It is like the most amazing art that I've seen for a very, very long time. So yeah, Rostislav Sarenko. He even does shading with it. I mean, his work is it's unbelievable.
Dude, he has a Pegasus piece that he has a video on Instagram where he's like finishing the inking for it. The meticulous work in that, in just the wing. Holy cannoli, dude. That is beautiful. Wow. It's funny because when you're learning to do comic book style and stuff, and you're learning about details and the illusion of details. Like when you draw a tree, right? You don't want to draw every leaf. You just want to give the illusion that you've drawn every leaf, and you kind of learn how to make that work. But this dude is just drawing every leaf. That's crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very cool, very cool. Kind of like a lost style that he's bringing back. So I love it. The person that he reminds me of, I forgot the name of this artist. He did Pirate Girl. Let me see, Pirate Girl comic. What is his name? Cursed Pirate Girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know
Cursed
that book.
Pirate Girl. It's a lot like Etching. It's very similar, but it's not as detailed, surprisingly. But the guy who did Cursed Pirate Girl, he also did the covers for a very little known comic called Judas. He did a variant covers for all 4 issues, and those were really cool too. But anyway, Rostislav Sorenko is my artist.
Great choice. Wow, I really like that. Awesome. Well, Actual Dracula, thank you again so much for joining us today. This has been a blast. Wow, some really cool.
Adrian, yes.
AKA Adrian. Man, I'm a huge vampire fan. I'm a huge Dracula fan. So, I would love to spend hours talking to you about horror movies and Lovecraft, because I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, as I'm sure you can tell. So maybe at some point we can get you back on and talk more about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. This has been great.
Yeah, it's great to finally see you face to face and talk to you a little bit more about your background and your art in more detail. It's been very, very enlightening. So thank you so much. And
for all of you out there listening, I have been your host, Vase Odin, and our guest today was Actual Dracula, and my co-host today was
Gio.
It's so funny, there's always a delay, so it feels like you're just waiting and you're just trying to figure out what your name is. and the other funny thing is, Actual Dracula, my wife texts me, right, and she's like, I'm like, dude, I can't call you right now, I'm doing an interview with Actual Dracula. And she goes, okay, you're gonna have to tell me what that means after you're done. So, yeah, great name. I love it. All right, everyone. Anyways, we'll see you guys next episode. Thanks for joining us, Actual Dracula, and we'll talk to y'all real soon.
Adrian. All right, everybody.